My name's Don Sutton, and I grew up outside of Marion, Indiana, and I ended up buying 5 acres of property from my grandfather, who owned a 40-acre corner, and built a house there in 1968-69, and we raised our 6 kids there. So we're basically country people, and we've had a pretty good life. Okay, I'll start with a little memory of living on Booth Street, and I went into Eric's bedroom, and he was about 2 years old or less, and he had stood up in his crib and shaken it back and forth until the plywood panel on the end fell clear out, and he got out and ransacked his entire room. You remember that?
Nope. I do, actually.
and one time when Dave was little too there, and it was Halloween, and Dave was all excited about Halloween coming. All right. And this little kid came to the front door and rang the doorbell and had on a devil suit, was red from top to bottom with the little horns and everything. Dave was all excited and ran and opened the door. And ran and
it was extraordinarily scary. I think I was told something about kids were going to come to the door and get candy, and there was a devil. That was that.
I wasn't even born. I remember that story.
The other thing I remember about Booth Street was taking a walk by myself at about that same age.
Where did you go?
I don't know, because that was my first time outside the house that I recall.
He escaped.
But I do remember a greenhouse. So was there a greenhouse somewhere nearby?
Across the road.
Well, there you go. I made it to the greenhouse.
Across the street.
And somebody in the neighborhood noticed that I was a 2.5-year-old kid by themselves, and they took my hand, and I managed to show them where I lived. So I did manage to get them back to the house. So that was an interesting adventure, and sort of set the whole framework of the rest of my life.
The 2 memories I have of that place are of that we had milk, literally milk truck came every week and put milk in a little box on the porch in glass bottles.
Wow.
And there was a neighbor that we called Mr. Doggy Paw.
Yeah, his name was Doggenbaugh.
Okay.
It was
his actual name.
It was Doggy Paw to me too.
Doggy Paw.
It was Doggy Paw.
Mm-hmm.
He gave you a cool gift. It was an airplane made out of beer cans.
Yes, I do remember that.
He was a nice Doggy Paw.
So let me ask this question, because I've never broached this subject with you guys, but what was it like for you guys when I came along? Because I have no memories of that.
Well, here's another baby.
It was a Tuesday.
That's pretty much it.
It was a bloody
It's
No,
kind of
it was, this is our final hope.
No. It was kind of like how I was just talking to Dad before we all started this, that when our family here came together, we were all little enough that we were sponges. I don't know about Dave, but I had no expectations for life of what was going to happen. So when you came along, I guess that's called a brother and it's a baby. Linda came along and Brian came into the house. And it's like, okay, we're a family. So I didn't feel awkward at all. And nothing was weird, because it was what we didn't expect.
Just what we were.
We didn't know. We didn't know any better. We just took things as they came, so it was easy.
I think the weirdest part of it was that we didn't think anything was unusual because it was just life at that time. But when you look back and think of how young you were and how old we were, it was bizarre to think that you were 27 or 28, had 3 little boys, and Jim was running around the house fetching poop out of his diaper and flinging it to the wall. This actually happened.
Well into his teens.
Well, you can talk about my cutting board that have the recipe for happiness on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
In my point of view, a happy adult is an adult who has good self-control and self-discipline. And you can't have self-discipline if you've never been taught what discipline is in the first place. And so I raised my kids with some discipline, and I think Dr. Spock was all wrong. But there are too many spoiled kids out there today who have no self-discipline, that are grown up to adults and are not what they could be. All of my kids are better people than most.
I don't think Sarah ever
Crime
met
and
that
punishment.
recipe.
No, Sarah never
Did you?
I don't. I met it plenty.
Yes, I did. I was part of the group when we all lined up.
You never.
I don't remember you being in the
I really
lineup.
don't remember you being
I
like.
was.
Crime and punishment.
Sarah,
Crime
I
and
remember
Here we
punishment
go.
subject.
Sarah
Okay.
under her bed on the floor crying. And I went back and I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "I don't know." And I said, "Why are you crying?" She said, "I don't know." And that's kind of the way
Was
Sarah
this
was.
the other day?
Just last week.
This was Tuesday.
I thought little girls are harder to raise than boys.
But when you see this craziness, now you know why I was under my bed crying and not knowing why.
No, we're still perplexed.
I don't know why I remember that too.
I used
Speaking
to
of
give you kids, I'd line you up, and if you didn't confess to the whatever had been done, I would line up everybody and say, "Grab your ankles then, and we'll be sure and get the right one." I would
Oh,
have 'em-
Jim, I need to apologize to you.
You threw me under the bus.
How
It
many
was the
times?
nurse that Mom got when she graduated on the mantle. I broke it.
No.
Mm.
Boom.
Okay, but wait. Okay, so Linda had all these cool things up on the mantle over the fireplace, and one of them was this tall, like porcelain looking or whatever nurse. And there was a point in time where Nerf came out with a boomerang, the
Yeah.
Nerf boomerang,
Yes.
Burn.
and I threw it in the house when I wasn't supposed to. And it swooped up and hit the nurse, knocked it off, and it shattered. And then we glued it back together in the
I
hopes
think
that.
I was playing with you then. I was part of it, but I didn't get punished.
Yes, but what I remember is we glued it back together
Yeah,
and put it
and
up
she
there.
found
And she found it
and she was
later
like,
on down the road. Later on down the road, and then when the crap hit the fan, Emily said Jim broke it and threw me under the bus.
I'm so sorry.
But it was you that broke it.
I think we were playing with that boomerang on both sides of the
I don't
living
remember
room.
who threw
Almost-
it. I thought I threw it.
I would
and
say
broke it.
almost all of the things that were broken due to our play times, almost never were we independently playing. It was almost always a group,
That's
kind
true.
of a game.
So it was right for me to whip you off.
Yeah, in general.
Well, there were certain
Like sometimes
incidences.
sometimes the innocent would be punished along because they really weren't involved, but on a different time they got away with
It
something.
evens out. Over
Yeah, it's kind of
over
a
10
grand
years.
scheme of things.
But I didn't, all I did is give them a whack, maybe two. And then
Or 15.
Maybe
Yeah.
two.
then I
Never
would
more
say
than two, depending on how.
I'm not doing this to hurt you. This is a memory thing.
A memory jogger,
I
you
want
call
you to
it.
remember what you did wrong so you don't do it again. And
Yeah,
then
I don't
as
remember
time
any of
went
those
by,
disclaimers.
then they would start doing it again. I'd say, "Hey, do you need a memory jogger?" "Nope,
that's-
I remember." Well, Linda did a lot of cooking when we were both working. I was in the building business with my dad and later on without him. And Linda is a good cook, but she's not terribly neat in the kitchen, so somebody has to clean up after her a bit sometimes.
One of my favorites was after dinner, we'd have to clean the kitchen, and Dad would often, because we'd play and throw, we'd mess around, and 15, 20 minutes later, it was really rinse some dishes, put them in a dishwasher. There were several of us. It wasn't that big of a deal, but we would play and play and play. And Dad would set the timer on the stove to 5 minutes. Say, get those kitchen clean, you got 5 minutes, and then go upstairs. and there was an intercom in the house. And we would just like, oh, it's almost to go off. Put it back in 5. Put it back in 5. And so maybe half an hour later, Dad would call down and say, "No dishes done yet?" And he said, "There's still 2 minutes on the timer." Like, that was half an hour ago. Yeah, but I swear there's 2 minutes on the timer right now. I don't know, maybe it's broken. And then he's like, if I come down there, if the dishes aren't done by the time I get down the stairs, you're getting whacked. And then we would do all the dishes in 2 minutes or less because we heard him start tromping down the stairs and the breadboard was going to come off. So we had to get it done. So 20 minutes of setting the timer back to 5 minutes.
For a stove of that age with the mechanical analog timers back in those days, and we used that timer as an oven timer. I would say never, hardly ever, but it was mostly used for chore timing, or you got whooped. That was 90% of the time.
I mean, we didn't at that age bake. So I mean, I'm sure Linda used it for cooking.
Right.
We didn't cook then, but the timer is being used for disciplinary function.
Now it was
90% of the time.
This does also make me think of dinner time when multiple different things would occur. One of my favorites was I think it was usually Eric on the didn't want to eat something. And I think it was Eric that stacked he didn't want these peas. Who did
salmon?
No.
Well, the salmon
was Eric.
Was it you with
Salmon
the
was
peas?
Eric.
That was our peas. I like peas, so I'm not sure.
No, it was
Oh.
Brian with the peas.
Sure?
It was
Somebody-
Brian with the
It was
peas.
Brian
It
with
was
the
you
peas.
with the salmon pad.
The
The
wood.
peas on the
It
end
was-
of under
Yes.
the
That's
table.
because somebody
was that?
somebody
I
sat
thought it
down
was
at
all
the
of you,
table
but-
the next day, and we heard this, and we're like, all these dried peas under the table.
Now that could be.
Because
Under
Brian
the
was
rim.
Brian didn't want to finish his peas. Maybe you like peas, but it was you
Oh,
because they
okay.
were stacked nicely up under the rim under the table.
There was a wooden edge, and he's like carefully. And then the napkin.
would spit them in the
He
napkin.
stacked them
And then
into
when
this
nobody was- he
wooden
would
rim
grab-
underneath the table. They dried out
I
of
remember
there.
Brian eating at the table
Packing his cheeks.
and his cheeks were all puffed out. I said, what are you doing? I'm eating like a squirrel.
Yeah, but see, on that note, I remember this maneuver here was cram as many peas in your mouth as you can, Brian. And then he would take his napkin and be like, and all the peas would go into the napkin, and then he'd get up quietly from the table and go put it in the trash in the kitchen. He'd be fine. No peas had to be eaten.
Well,
But he was so curious with the napkin.
Yeah,
there were a number of things in it. I do recall. I think there were 2 things couldn't stomach. Maybe some sort of crappy sauerkraut.
Yes.
That was like rubber tie.
There was some.
That was one
It
time.
tasted like
There was
And
some.
I've never eaten sauerkraut again my whole
I
life.
know.
I
But there
actually
was
like
this.
it now.
There was a dinner arrangement to where this is what we have for dinner. If you're not eating it, you're going to bed hungry. We're like, night, and we all.
That's right.
We did not eat it.
Well, the thing with the sauerkraut is he made it for the first time we'd ever had it, and he knew it was going to be a problem because when we came to the table, the plates were domed loaded with it. It wasn't like we had to serve ourselves; it was already on the plate, and we walk in, we're like, oh, and there was no meat, there was nothing. It was just sauerkraut, and it stunk bad like rubber tires.
Burnt tires.
And Dad's like, eat it or go to bed. And we're like, peace out. Like, all of it.
Peace out.
Don't make that ever again. We're not touching it.
And then I think the other one that we tried and maybe nibbled was, I think it was intended for bait. I'm not sure, but there was a frozen 5-gallon bucket of smelt. Like
What?
little anchovy-looking herring thing, and Dad dumped them in and deep fried them.
What the?
Oh, deep fried smelt. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
have no memory of this.
and then it could have been when it was really young, but there was a bucket, literally like a 5-gallon bucket of frozen whole entire little bait fish that he fried up. Said, "We're eating this for dinner." Like, the hell we are. So that did not go.
Before me, because I would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
I like them.
And
I
you
don't
like
remember
this.
And then there was a time when Jim, we had gotten home. I believe this was when it was bachelor days. It was just Eric, Jim, and I and Dad. And Jim had cried and cried how much he just really, really wanted sloppy joes. And we get home, there was no ground beef, and Dad's like, well, we got some breakfast sausage. I'll make it with sausage. There was no ketchup. There was no tomato-based anything. So he's frying up this sausage, and he puts a bunch of mustard in it and some flour, some thicken it, and makes mustard and sausage-based sloppy Jims.
I think there was more meat in it than that, like hot dogs.
I'm
chewed
not
up,
sure.
and
Whatever
it was
it
like
was,
whatever remnants was in there went into it.
it was
And
basically
they
ground
revived.
sausage and mustard, and did not turn out to be a good sandwich.
Oh my
It
God.
got called sloppy Jim.
It was also largely inedible.
That was the one time where even Dad wouldn't eat it, so he couldn't make us.
Yeah, he would. It's like,
He's
yeah, this is
He's
pretty
like,
bad.
no, we're done with it.
We're a put together family. I had my 3 boys with the first wife, and she wanted to go out and see life for herself and left me with the boys. And I'm thankful for that because I got to raise them. And then later on, I married Linda, and Linda had Brian from her first marriage. And he was about six years old, I think, when we got married. And so together we had 4 boys, and then we had 2 daughters to make the family of 6 there, 6 children.
I'd say, do you remember?
We can settle this right.
You guys were probably out in Oregon, and I don't know if it was for the summer one time, but we had Brian watch the girls for a very short time, and he told them there was a tornado coming.
Yes, I do remember that.
So that was a fun.
You don't remember
fun
that?
home
You
too.
made us go to the basement and get under the
Hey, I
stairs.
was protecting you.
That was the tornado.
But you didn't go to the basement.
But you didn't turn on the
No.
light in the basement.
One time.
But did I believe there was a tornado? That's what I mean. I was a little.
I don't know what you believe. I was like,
You
fine.
could hear the train.
The kids were in bed on a stormy night, and Brian came out, and Linda and I were still in the living room with Brian. We need to go to the basement. We need to go to the basement. I said, what are you talking about? There's a tornado coming. It sounds like a train. Listen. He said, Brian, that is a train. You can go back to bed.
I think I remember that a little bit. But
I remember Eric making movies at this time, and you guys were throwing their dolls out the
Oh,
upstairs.
that was Bobby Burger.
Bobby Booger movies. Actually,
Yeah,
I supported
Dave
that.
and I were both in German class in
We were not
high
upset.
school at that point in time, and so you had projects, and our project was The Adventures of Bobby Booger, because Grandma Bo?
Grandma
Bo.
Jenny sold those.
Grandma Jenny sold
Those
these dolls, and
Yeah.
Grandma Bo put it together.
Apple
and
dolls, right?
Not,
No,
not the Cabbage
there
Patch
were
dolls.
those too, but this was a kind that had a
There's-
little finger sticking out in the nose
There's
hole.
a
You could stick 'em in.
particular,
Fingers
there's a
were
particular
like
doll
that.
that you
Yeah.
know, floppy body, so it just had the hands and the legs,
And a
but
face.
but his face was like a doofus
Like
Like
redneck
a monkey
kid.
face.
Kind of
And
dumb
so he
looking.
had holes in his nose and his ears and his mouth, and his fingers were like this, and you could like stick his fingers in his orifice. So we called him Bobby
Orifice.
Booger. Is what
We
Grandma
didn't.
Bo- Grandma
That
Bo
was what
named
he
him.
was called. That
That's-
was the doll.
that
kid.
was
was
what he was
called
called.
Bobby
Was
Booger,
Bobby
yeah.
Booger. So
But
we
we did.
decided to use him as our actor for the show. And
Oh my gosh, that recollects
that was hilarious.
when we were making those movies, and we had I think Grandpa's truck had that straight 6, and the engine compartment was very empty, and we drove it. We were like saying this will be really cool because we'll have uncut footage of the truck driving, and we'll hit the brakes and act like it's not working right, and pop the hood and have one of us get out from the engine compartment.
Dad looked at it like he was confused of why it wasn't.
Yeah,
running
so
right.
I can't remember, was it you?
That was me that got in there.
Yeah,
Somebody
so
got in and then they
We
stepped
put Eric
out
into
and
the
he
engine and
stopped
turned the
right.
truck on and drove it with him in, hunkered into the engine compartment next to the exhaust and fan and all the parts moving, and drove it with him down inside the engine compartment of the truck.
With Dad driving, because Dad got out the door, went around, opened the hood, and Eric climbed down. Dad's like, what the
Yeah, it was.
Because they were silent
I
films.
remember.
There was no
It
sound.
was so big up in there.
That's why. Luckily, it wasn't quite like you said. We did not turn the engine on with me in the engine compartment. We put it neutral and pushed it.
It was,
Yeah,
It would
yeah.
not run.
It
I
wasn't.
think
It
it
wasn't.
was.
It
was
looked like
not-
it was running into.
I wouldn't
video.
have. I was crazy, but I wouldn't have done that. I was in there, and you guys just pushed it in the yard a little bit, so you didn't see any, and then we stopped. Oh yeah, holidays. How about so holidays?
So
Easter. You swore that the Easter bunny was in our house.
Brian and
You
I,
saw him.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can remember
so-
this.
Brian and I, more
Wait a
than
minute.
anything,
Framework.
what we didn't
Because
really
Somebody
believe
has kids.
is that if there were some kind of a thing, we wanted to see it with our own eyes.
We were at the age where
And we took string around the living room and out the hall and whatnot, and
elaborate.
made it round table legs and different things, and ran it back down the hall, tied it to our fingers and our toes and stuff, so that
I was just
so
saying
that in the
how
night,
stupid we were.
if Santa Claus or
Oh,
the
it
Easter
works.
Bunny or
Did it?
something's coming, we're gonna
What boys
start.
do.
Oh, something's dragging on my finger. We got to go catch him now. But in my recollection, it was black. There were no lights on.
It was
And
dark.
we're
pitch black night.
for my part, I was scared to death. I was scared, like, oh my God, and my heart's beating really hard. And we're like creeping in our PJs down the hallway, and I could hear, the rustling like a.
We were on the ground floor.
Yes,
by then.
we're on
Yeah,
the.
we
We're
weren't living.
no,
Yeah,
we're
that
down
was
on the
the
ground,
ground.
coming out of the bedroom thing, coming down the hall, crawling, and we were trying to spy this thing, and all we get to is there's a bag, like a paper grocery sack rattling with, and we. From my memory, I don't know for you.
And I can remember being like this around.
Yeah,
the
we were
corner.
like,
yeah,
and
and
then it was
like
sitting
in the
in the
movies,
chair.
little-
Sitting in the
I was
chair.
peeking around the hallway corner.
in the living room, in the black. There was no lights on. Couldn't make out details. But the curtain to the main room, it looked like bunny ears sticking up
Yep,
to me.
there's these big bunny ears,
And
it-
we're like
it
all like-
had- it was like,
And we were, holy crap, what's going on here? And I was scared to death, and we booked it back
we put
there.
it back in
But-
there. We're like, it's real, it's real.
I
So
mean,
you had nothing to do with it. You didn't get a big bunny suit and dress up.
No,
No,
but
but there
what it
was-
turned out to be is a fairly large blow up bunny, and Dad was sitting in the chair going through the bag, but the bunny was behind him.
Oh.
behind
But
his
yeah,
back
the
in
ears
the
I don't
chair.
That-
remember
that's-
being like
and
this.
the ears were
Yeah.
tall silhouettes. So
but
we didn't
there was
see
no
Dad.
visualization of a parent
Exactly.
because it was too
Oh.
dark.
We didn't see him. All we
And-
saw was rabbit ears and something
And
shuffled
her
through
wrestling
the bag.
around in a paper bag or something. But
Why was he wrestling in the bag? In
get
It was
the
just-
dark?
candy out or something
I
from
think
a
it was the
grocery
plastic
sack.
trash bags
In
that
the
you.
dark?
No,
It
well,
was dark.
yeah. It was
We didn't-
plastic trash
We
bags
did
that you
not
put all the
think to
baskets
turn the
in.
lights
You
on
put all
and
the
put the
baskets.
flashlight on or anything. We didn't do any
Yeah.
of that.
But I'm saying,
You would
you're
get the
saying
baskets
he would do
ready,
that.
and you would take them down in the dark. You'd have
So he was
different
doing
times.
it in the dark.
So he was
Yeah.
probably placing the basket,
Yeah.
and
It
it was making a little noise.
Can we get to 1977?
Oh my God.
No,
this
wait,
was Before
who-
that.
What was your favorite place that he hid the baskets with your bunny notes?
That's what I'm saying. Is the
Oh,
most
yeah.
best
She feels
part
like
about
we loved holidays. I mean, oh my
The-
gosh, they're what we all lived for. And Dad was like Mr. Witty. So we'd wake up on Easter mornings and we'd all each have a note, and he would make a rhyme.
Oh yeah, and it had
And-
paws on it.
It was
Yeah.
a
You got
riddle.
like
you
he's-
usually got Iron Tail and
Cottontail,
and
Peter
he
Cottontail.
wasn't the nicest to Brian. He loved picking on Brian, but we all had.
Did you sign his iron tail?
Brian loved it though. He loved getting picked on. I think.
I did.
But we would have like Peter
Ooh,
Cottontail and Iron Tail, and we'd have a note. You know,
It was
it's
a
like
riddle.
if you want to find your basket, you have to look up higher, but don't even think to look in the dryer. Sometimes it was simple enough that you know
It got harder as you got older.
they got harder as you get older.
And I've done that with my kids. So they've always
And
had.
Yeah, okay, so that's
but
an interesting point.
Brian's would be more like, "This is Iron Tail," and
Oh,
I,
difficult.
you know, you've been a bad boy and kind of aloof, so maybe you should look somewhere that rhymes with hoof. And sure enough, This basket would be outside in the cold Easter morning up on the roof.
Well, that's where my Christmas
Wow,
presents were
Dad.
too.
Oh, yeah,
Christmas
because Santa
present.
Claus accidentally dropped your presents on the roof while he was coming down the chimney, and he
I
forgot.
can remember, and it was a very snowy Christmas, which made it even better because there was
Terry-
snow on the roof.
It was awesome.
Something to do with Terry, and Terry didn't get you anything.
Mhm.
And so we did the basket or a bag,
I said,
slid off the roof onto the ground. I
Okay,
said, well, there's for your present.
but it's snowy, and
Yeah.
typically it only snows every 5 years
Yeah,
on
it
Christmas or
was-
so.
But we made that strip down the roof look like he
Yeah,
had
it-
dropped your bag.
And I can remember it came right off that,
Mhm.
exactly where it was
Yeah.
coming off at.
I
Speaking
remember
of that.
there was an
Interesting.
Easter where we were still little, but you felt like you were too old for all of this Easter bunny stuff.
That's probably true.
And so, Dad, to get back at you, your clue
Whoa.
was your clue was something like you feel like
Okay.
you're too old for all the Easter
1970.
goodies. Go find your basket in the woodies.
In the woods.
That's
Yeah.
what we'd be.
And it was
putting
in a
up
bag hanging in a tree out in the woods.
with. Flour on the table.
Oh,
Oh,
around
yeah.
the
Oh,
rim.
sorry.
Manners
Dad
training.
put
What
the,
was
I have no
the
memory.
fingers into
Okay,
a V.
etiquette. So it's like they had to teach us all etiquette. We had to eat properly and such as if we were high
I
society.
don't think we had to talk with a British accent.
No,
It
Eric,
was
we
simply-
He did quite
But
often.
you've gotten good at it anyway.
We would eat
That's
like animals
my
with
life on
our arms on the
influence.
table surrounding our plate out of protection like a dog from each other stealing food.
That's an exaggeration.
No, I don't think so. 'Cause I would take your food if I had a chance. But
I'd be
then
glad if
to
it
keep
was
your
onions.
arms off the table when you ate, we'd have to. Dad would pour a little rim of flour. So if that little mountain of flour is flattened out anywhere, you're getting whacked.
If you have flour on your arms,
You're
Oh,
getting
yeah.
spanked.
Where did this come from? Did Grandma Jenny institute
I think
this
it only-
problem?
no,
He came
my
up with all
parents
this on his own.
raised us like slobs, and I wasn't going to raise my kids like that.
Interesting.
I had
It would.
I had enough trouble with the boys that my two girls were easy to raise. Used to make
Expound.
little houses out in the woods.
Yeah, we had a whole city out in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, streets and.
And I remember Sarah in the winter being afraid to wear the animal coat.
Yeah, there was
What?
that coat. We had
Didn't
this,
know that
It was
one.
this coat. It was a furry white coat with brown dots all over it, and I was terrified to
It
wear it
was
that a
my
hunter
coat.
would shoot me.
I remember
Sarah's
that coat.
first.
But after I grew out of it, it became yours, and I was thrilled to get rid of it because then the hunters would shoot you.
It was my coat.
That was my coat.
Was she so little that coat, we used to like grab the hood and just pick her up and carry her by the coat?
Yeah, the point.
Thing
And a
on the
pointed
top.
hood. We just like grab it and pick her
I
up.
love
People
that
like,
coat.
I hated it.
Sarah-
I
Sarah-
loved that coat.
oh,
I
winter
remember
time,
Sarah going
yeah.
down the hill toward the trees in a sled with a couple of sticks.
My ski poles.
Ski poles.
Ski poles.
She was just a little girl.
I remember the tire.
Swing
You
the tire.
boys.
You mean the tire swing or the tire?
No, we
sandbar?
had a tire.
Oh, the
we-
big tractor
You would
tire.
put us in a tire, or
There
not
was the sand
you,
in it.
but
The
me
sand-
in a tire.
The
And
sandbox?
No,
roll
but-
you down.
Yeah,
You're
roll down
talking
the
just
hill.
rolling you down the hill in the
Yeah.
tractor tire.
Yeah, we had a big
awesome.
tractor tire.
Who
We'd
did
roll
that?
people around the yard. And
Oh, that would be cruel. I wouldn't have done that.
well, y'all
You-
boys did.
I might have.
You guys rode in it too.
Yeah.
It wasn't the sandbox tractor tire then, was it?
It was a different
It
one.
was a huge tire.
It was like that one, but it was a different one.
We
I would hope it would be a different one. That one would smush us.
We did also frequently try things for science experiments. And Brian and Eric and I particularly, and Jim would be usually
Guinea
the
pig.
guinea
Yeah.
pig. But we would take our turn on occasion saying like how many pump, because Brian got a BB gun that had quite a lot of power. It could pump up
10
enough.
pump, yeah.
10 pumps of that thing would shoot us right through a squirrel's head. You know, it would kill stuff, not just a little plinker BB gun. And I recall going out in the back, setting up distances from the back at where the cellar door is to the grapevine thing, and saying, "Okay, this many steps with one pump, shoot."
Oh, the duels?
No, this is just shoot them in the butt and see if they say "ow."
Okay.
And it's like one pump at 50 steps doesn't hurt at all. And you're like, and then Brian would be like, chink, chink, and like, pow, doesn't really hurt. Okay.
Felt it.
Chunk, 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 chunk. Ow, ow, ow. That was too many pumps.
And then you probably chased him.
Of course, you want
Probably.
to talk BB guns. You're throwing stuff at him. The first BB gun that came into us kids was your Daisy single pump.
That's true.
Your little Daisy single
The
pump.
one you screw the end off to
And
load.
put the BBs,
Right. It's
yeah.
the
And
big
I believe
full
it was a lever action.
It was a lever action single pump.
It's like the Red Rabbit.
Pull it
But the
and
very
push it,
first
and then-
thing
Yeah.
that ever got shot with that was me.
That's true.
Not a target.
I reacted out of anger. I had an exciting new toy. It was like first BB gun. I think I think it was 8, and I wanted to play. And Eric was having a little hissy fit because he was all jealous because I had a BB gun and he didn't want to play, and he's stomping off. And I'm like, "Come play with the BB gun." He's like, "Nah," and he starts walking away. You don't walk away from somebody with a loaded gun. So I shot him in the butt.
Who was shooting little army men off of the fireplace that ended up going through
I
the
thought that was Jim.
picture window?
Oh,
That
okay. So
does
now I guess
happen.
we're talking about damages that 6 kids do to somebody's house.
Yeah.
Okay. That one, Brian was experimenting with.
It was
What
matchsticks.
happens when you shoot paper with just the air from the bubble?
Well, it was actually matchsticks that we
Oh,
used to
stick
knock
it-
army
You
men
were
off the ledges.
You know, when you
With just air and no baby.
Well,
that time
Or matches.
I'm pretty sure I was there when you were we didn't have any BBs at the moment, and you were shooting a piece of paper up against the fireplace stone with just the air to see what kind of power damage air could do. There ended up being a BB in it, and the front window paid the price.
Well,
No, I paid the price.
Well, you paid the
So-
literal. You made him pay for
I had
it.
to
I-
use my
I think
Boeing
that
money
did
and
make
all
it-
kinds. It's $200 or
That's
something.
probably where the Mitsubishi
insane.
went, was that front window.
But I mean, it was a huge picture window.
There was
back
also-
It was a
then.
large picture
I
window.
believe I was the cause of the tub damage on the similar idea.
Way
I
to
thought
own
that
up
was
to it.
Brian.
See, I got
Way
blamed
to
for
own
the
up.
tub,
Right.
and
You was shooting
I'm
the
pretty
little
sure that
battleship.
the window was not broke.
Did you shoot the battleships too?
You had little battleships. You were floating in the tub upstairs. And
I think we were both
Yeah.
involved.
Upstairs, I think.
But
You were
if no
shooting
BBs
with
were
the
being
BBs.
I was
shot, what
involved
happened?
downstairs.
Oh no, I guess
We
we
were
were
shooting
yeah.
BBs
It was a downstairs bathroom.
because
Upstairs.
we built
Upstairs.
model. It was upstairs.
Upstairs bathroom.
We
It
had,
was
Yeah,
upstairs.
well, definitely not me then.
Shot the porcelain off the tub.
yeah,
Well, we didn't really understand that porcelain was,
Yeah, it was
easily
metal,
flakes.
we were
Oh,
just playing because it was thunderstormy out or something. So we decided to float the model battleship in the tub and pretend like, oh, I'm the Japanese. Pew pew pew, and like break the ship in the thing, and the the BBs would ricochet and break stuff. I'm just really happy, windows, tubs,
It
whatever.
wasn't us.
We didn't lose our eyeballs. Every one of us
Yeah,
here
we all
still got
All our
eyeballs.
fingers into it. I want to check a story with Brian. I want Brian to tell the story if he recalls it. But as children, Dad instilled in us a love of building models. And it was the thing that we would look forward to go to the store and pick out a car model, the plastic ones that you had to build all the pieces, right? So most of the models that we would get used regular Testors model glue, right? So
Oh.
Brian got an SR-71 Blackbird.
I don't
Oh
think
yeah, Marauder.
No,
was a
no,
Mara-
no.
it was
It was
a
a
Mara-
I
widow.
remember
The
that.
Black Widow.
Black
It was
Widow.
Black
The Black Widow.
And it was supposed to have different glue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't know that.
But you remember it?
Oh yeah, that's
Tell
why
us-
I knew it was the Black
you
Widow.
remember
This is
Tell
one
the
of the
story.
episodes we realized what
I
kind of
don't
anger
remember
Let
the
management
him tell
story,
Brian
but
had.
it didn't end up well for the plane. I don't
That's right.
The funny
But it made it together somehow. I can swear I
It made it together for a little bit, but then it
Oh,
just
okay.
started
The funny-
falling apart. And
That's
he got
the thing.
so mad that the glue wouldn't work.
That was the
And
thing.
then
Is
he
that
was
he
like
said-
looking at after that, he calmed down. He was looking at the
thing of it is that leading up to the death of the plane, Brian was like, "I'm gonna be brain surgeon." Like,
Oh, I
I am
remember
so
that
smart.
phase.
He's like, I could be. I'm smarter than all y'all. I'm going to be a brain surgeon. And we're like, brain surgeon, all right, whatever. And then he gets his plane and he's like, put the pieces of it together. And then it would be like, and he'd be like, what? And he'd get build it back together again. And then and we're like, yeah, brain surgeon. Like,
No,
how's that going to
Here
work?
goes
For
another
you?
page.
And this is why I wasn't.
I do remember how bad he felt when he was looking at the instruction later. He's like, oh shit.
Am I right? That is life. I mean,
I think one of my favorite memories of Brian was having the most amazing knowledge and memory. First off, it was when you were really little with dinosaurs. You knew all the
His entomology.
yeah, so like
knowledge is
the
vast.
the knowledge of the insect world and animals in general, but to just go out and watch you go through the edge of a pond and be so enthralled by watching a dragonfly nymph catch something, or you would collect things out of nature and it was like a weird college scientist thing in your room with all these jars full of little stuff, and he would catch a dragonfly and tether it with a light piece of thread and tie it to the bedpost to live in his room to patrol for mosquitoes until it was starving. And then he would let it go and go
Little
catch
bit
another
creepy,
one
Brian.
and tie it to the bedpost like a little. And I remember him running around the yard with a string with a dragonfly on the end like a kite, playing with the pet dragonfly on it.
To kill the mosquitoes already.
Yeah, and he would catch them and bring them in. And
So he
It certainly-
influenced you guys.
It certainly opened up.
well, I asked that
world
question
for
the
us
other day to
and
Eric. I said, "Did I
appreciation.
influence you on nature and bugs?"
We
Absolutely.
gained a whole new appreciation for it, and we got into it. And I loved looking at the dragonfly nymphs and the mechanicals of their lower jaw.
Yeah.
It's like, explain to me, Brian, how this thing looks so different in the water. It turns into a freaking dragonfly,
And they don't have the same jaws
it's not
at
the
all.
same
like
jaw
that
at all. It's
extendable
like
pincher jaw. Now it
It
has
was
like
fascinating.
regular dragonfly mouth.
So we were glad you came over to us, and he's like, I was in the city and now I'm in the country. So he was like glad he came out, and we learned so much. That
Was
was
fun.
You remember when I have like vivid memories of Brian, you know, with jars and all this all the time. But like one time we were out waiting for the bus, and you find out that on this side of the driveway is a red ant nest.
Yes.
On this side of the driveway down the way was a black ant nest. So we get home from school, and Brian goes and collects, like he pisses off the red ones, and he gets them all up his hand. He's shaking them off into this jar. He gets like a whole jar of red ants, the big one, the mean ones, not the little red ants. And he carries them over across the driveway to the black ant nest on the other side, shakes them all out on there, and they're pissed because he just riled them up, and they just slaughtered the black ones. And they slaughtered the black ones and then made slaves out of them.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, the red ones,
They
This is not what it sounds like.
seriously, the red ones, with no PC here, man. This is our video.
This is
He took the red and they infiltrated the black, and they made a trail all the way back to the Black Ant Hill and killed the whole
I
Black
started
Ant
it,
Hill.
and
Yeah.
I
It
started
took
it.
all
Started
the
the war.
larvae.
Started the war.
They were taking the larvae from the black nest back to the red nest
Yeah.
to rear them.
and I'm like, are they going to eat him? He said, no, they're going to raise them for their own.
slaves.
As
The
slaves.
adults wouldn't even understand the principle and stuff. It was like I was actually
Right.
starting a war to create to end up with this.
But
result.
to me, it was like it was like, why the black ones are slaves? How funny is that?
And I remember him making little
No,
paper
I'll
coffins for the dead of the war
Yeah.
and burying them.
Yeah, he.
Yeah.
Well, the one year he had
Their little coffins lined up like a military grave.
I do remember that.
There was one year where
I guess I
remember
should
when
have
we
been
had
a
the-
mortician.
Weren't there like the two oak trees out? towards
Yeah.
the back?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
I would actually
moss of
dig
the
the,
oak
the
tree, that was
holes
great.
like a real
That was the graveyard.
with
Yeah.
little
These
Little
tiny
limestone
razor
graveyards.
blades to
Tiny
make a
little
perfect
graveyards.
hole.
a guillotine.
And the
You made a
guillotine
guillotine.
bad. That's the ants that were
There's
captured.
like 1/50
Often.
scale miniatures. That he
But
was doing.
wait, there was the fish tanks where we had 2 rooms with fish tanks, and each tank had a beta.
Yeah.
And if one beta started to kind of fall off a little bit, not so good, they go into a like a sour cream container or butter container to have a duel.
Yeah.
And whichever beta survived it, the dead one, they got a new beta. Well, one of the betas had died, and Brian goes into it. He was all upset about this beta that had died. And he went in his room and made, I don't know if it was leftovers from one of the little balsa wood planes that we had, but he fabricated this perfect little coffin, like beta-sized coffin that was like angled and 45, and it had like a wood burner, a little cross on it.
Oh my God.
And he buried the beta between the two trees.
That was the cemetery.
It was a beta.
And I don't remember what grade it was, but we had to take with microscopes and see who could make the smallest object. You actually had to cut out and design an object that you could fold and glue. And I ended up, out of all our classmates, we had large classes, winning the competition with the smallest thing, and it was a miniature coffin. And it was actually folded.
So much practice.
Tremendous experience with building miniature coffins.
It was like,
And the
Brian,
teacher,
you
I don't
need
know
to
what
take
class
that.
it was
Maybe
so
he was
amazed.
intimidated.
And it was like, I don't want to make this guy.
You want to talk about later when Dave disappeared for 3 days. And we were
Took the
calling the
Mustang?
police and hospitals to see if anybody.
I don't
had
remember
seen
that
him.
one.
It's when he drove my Mustang off the road backwards. And
You were gone for that, Brian.
he
You were
thought
already
he could
lying.
get it fixed before he came home, and no one would ever know.
Good plan, baby.
My evil plan would have worked for
Good
those
plan,
pesky
baby.
kids.
But he has a car now that will corner and won't go off. the road,
Right.
So.
Hey, you don't know how fast you can't go until you go faster than you can. And then you're like, okay, that's too far. Too fast.
Were you by yourself, or were you heading over to or from Kelly McClure's? I thought she had something to do with where you happened to do that.
I don't really, frankly, remember. I feel like, I think I was dating Karen Lotta at that time.
Is that the
Okay.
one
I
Glad
think you
I
were.
where I
She had
tried to
mascara on her.
entertain you
Yes.
guys?
Yep, that was her.
Did we
That
love
was
Karen?
this one. I don't.
Oh.
This
Hi.
is
How
Grandpa.
the best part though. Is I want to hear your guys'. This had to have happened to you, and so Sarah and Emily. I want to hear how this happened in dating years and stuff, because there's no freaking way the rest of you guys weren't subjected to some of these problems. That number one, I brought Karen over for probably the first time she was ever at our house, and Dad starts coming down the stairs in boxer shorts only,
with an S
with an
and
S
shaving
on
cream
the shaving cream poured down, like
and a
spray-
towel.
and a towel around
shitty
his neck,
towel.
like saying "Super Dad," like he's got a cape and a big S on it, and shaving cream on.
I was embarrassed as much as you were.
And Karen spies him come, because the way that the stairs, you see their legs coming. He doesn't know even anyone's there, and I'm sitting there like, oh my freaking god! And here he comes stomping down the stairs. Super Dad, and he turns like, oh crap! He turns around and running back up because there was
It was a bathing suit.
It was not. It was
No, it was your blue boxer shorts with the white.
First off, okay,
No,
maybe
I-
you like Karen, but Karen had to see that. And I'm like, yeah, we're really poor. We took in boarders for the money. That guy's a little weird. So then we go down to Grandma and Grandpa's place. And our grandfather was really, really bad with words. And
True.
he would say all kinds of weird stuff, like there's a car. They make them cars in Sweden called, a Volvo. There's a Volvo and Mazda and whatever different kind of cars, but he just used different words for things. And I brought Karen, says my grandma and grandpa, and they're literally, she's standing right here. They're 2 feet in front of me. Grandma's, oh, there's me. Grandma's like, wow, Dave, she's
Something about a
sleazy.
hooker.
No,
Yes,
she's like,
yes.
Really
Oh my
sweet.
god.
and she's like, oh. And I said,
That's really sleazy.
and Grandma Jenny's like, Charlie. And he's like, what? It means skanky or something good. I'm
He
like,
thought
Something
Grandma,
good.
Oh my
He thought-
goodness.
Grandma Jenny said, your dad to me. Your dad thinks sleazy means luxurious.
Yes, but he would say the wrong words, and she's sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, I just met this guy, and he's calling me sleazy and wrong." And
Is that your?
It didn't go very well for me after that.
Yeah, I don't remember she stayed
Grandpa
around
was
too long, but I liked her too.
I-
Yeah.
My
Grandpa was
my
a
memory of your dating life, I was, little, and you had this one string of multiple girls coming over at one point.
Karen
and-
was the best.
But-
Madeline.
But I was in the
Blonde,
kitchen with
chinny
Mom,
chinny.
and you had brought someone else over that wasn't, and I was telling Mom, I'm like, but that's not the same girl he was with. And Mom's like,
That's not the same one from yesterday.
I was like 7.
Your night that you didn't want to go to bed, it was on a weekend. Your dad told you you could stay up. You didn't want to go to bed. You wanted to stay up and play.
We just said we're not going to tell them.
I remember this.
Well, let's just see when they decide.
Sarah and I
to
were
go.
born, and there was no bedtime. You guys didn't put
Yeah.
anybody to bed.
So we didn't go.
We were in our PJs. We had nightgowns on. And we were in the basement. There was like boxing happening and popcorn and everything else.
We, from the standpoint of not pissing off the elders, if they had gone to bed and we were in the basement,
I know. We went
We
to the
could-
basement. We're
we
like,
could be kind of
let's just-
loudish and get away with a lot of stuff and nothing would happen. So we played Dungeons and Dragons down there all night long in the summertime when we were teenagers.
Loved it.
And we had decided one night, I don't think we were driving age yet.
No.
But we had
Probably
hatched-
12 or 13.
Yeah, we had hatched a plan to transition from the game down in the basement to real life. And we were going to take weapons and make torches in the garage with rags and kerosene, whatever we could find, light some stuff on fire, and go on a mission. And we went pretty young kids, really, with torches and little made up boner spears. We had spears, wood spears. And we hiked across the entirety. We went down in the creek bed and through the trails at Babe Harmon's horse thing, all the way to the backside of Stonecrest.
Trailer park.
Stonecrest.
Yeah, the Stonecrest trailer
Where
park
there's a
on
trailer
the other
park.
side.
In the middle of the night,
Right.
1 a.m., 2 a.m., and we got, as I recall, we get there, and there was a bonfire with people that lived there out having a little bonfire, something late in the night, drinking beer and whatever. We're little kids, and we're all up arranging hedgerows, trying to spy them and pretend we're going to attack the orcs at the camp or whatever. And we'd be out running around half the night, and they're asleep, don't even know we're not in the house, and we're gone miles away playing in the woods. And then we attacked Melvin Berries with
4th of July.
we got
Oh, yes,
we got Roman
Roman
candles.
candles.
They had Roman candles. We had bottle rockets too, and we're shooting them at their house. And
They were out in the street doing their own thing.
yeah, they're having their little 4th of
We
July.
snuck up on
Snuck
them.
up to the hedgerow.
the hedgerow across the field.
Our whole family there. They had family.
And they're like, what?
Started throwing stuff over the head. They figured out what.
remember.
And they started firing back at us.
Yeah, that was so scary because they were using Roman candles.
I know, we're like,
right at them.
We're like, fireballs? That's not fair. Incoming.
And we were even have M80s too that we could.
Yeah, we got in no trouble that I recall from that.
My best memories was buying those new bikes for Sarah and Emily. We took them down to the Roosevelt School
There we go. Something about us.
to teach them how to ride bikes. And Sarah's gotten them, finally letting her go, and she's going maybe 2 miles per hour. And Emily got on hers and realized that the faster you went, the easier it was to stay straight.
Stay up.
And she's flying around the Roosevelt School,
Stop.
her hair blowing back in the wind. And she says, "How do I stop?"
Stop pedaling.
I said, back then the Roosevelt was empty, so the playground's all weeds. I said, just ride out into the weeds, which she did and got stopped. But
Thank you, Daddy.
vast difference between the two. Sarah was extremely
Super
slow and
cautious.
careful.
Yeah,
Hard
that
to
was the
stay
orange
on.
bikes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
old
orange
banana
bike.
seat, orange bike.
Sunshine.
The lake that we went to, Lake Tippecanoe, is north of Marion about 65, 70 miles. So if we went up there on a weekend, it was an hour and 20 minutes or so drive up there. And we went up there about every weekend in the summer, and it had a lake cottage there that my dad owned and built, and that's where we played with the boats and skiing and so forth.
I would like to hear everybody's favorite day at the lake that they can recall.
I
So what
remember
was
when I
yours?
first slalomed, and I was like so damn proud because you were a good slalomer, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck you up. I was a good slalomer at like age 11.
What's in that cup?
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, what is it?
Anyway, what was your favorite day at the lake?
I couldn't think of any like specific favorite things, but I do remember learning to ski, and that was very hard, and I was so happy with learning to ski. I remember just sitting out on the deck watching storms come across the lake, and I loved watching the storms come across the lake.
No, we had so many great memories.
How many
at the lake.
years?
What
did
was your
you guys
favorite?
get up there?
Well, I have so many
Yeah.
of them up there because it's like we had such a great time at home, but then we would get loaded up on weekends and get a drive up to Lake Tippy. And I know the drives up there, when we first got up there, there'd be this giant hill.
Yeah.
We'd all sit there in the back of the station wagon and
And go,
start singing Land of the
Oh,
Lost.
yeah.
That was a
That's
must.
The
We
theme
had
song.
to.
The theme song to the land. of
Yeah.
Lost.
1,000
Do you remember
feet
Brian
below.
You remember us saying that every
The
time?
land of the lost.
They're doing the Land of the Lost song
And-
on the way down there.
That's
Speaking of
perfect.
Jim, I know I will forget this, but it's like I was really good at fishing and making lures and understood the way fish and the type of stuff they ate. So I was taking Jim when he was really starting to learn to fish, and we went out on the point. I don't know where it's
It was
at, but it's
actually
like
the neighbors.
yeah, you had to go out there on the point, but then we kind of went this way. And it's a real windy day, and I was just out there catching big bass. And I finally got Jim, who was sitting there, and he caught a big bass, and he was all excited. Well, he's sitting there again. He's got this big, giant Rapala or
Treble,
something. He's
dual
sitting
treble.
there, and he goes back like this, and he goes,
Yeah.
wham! And that thing, I just in slow motion remember it just stick into his head, and I could see his scalp get pulled. And all of a sudden, he's
I remember
sitting
that.
here, and he's like, Brian, he goes, I think I got a problem or something. And
He's
sitting
with
here.
it.
I was
Just sitting here,
I told him
he's
I-
sitting here going like
I said I
this.
had a fish. I was like,
And
it's
I could
huge.
see-
I got a huge.
I could
Oh my
see his
God.
scalp lifting every
Back.
time he did it. Well, he was just sitting here all stoic and stuff. And I said, Jim, don't move. I said, you have hooked yourself. Well, he's sitting here and he grabs the stuff like this and he's going like this. And he looked and there was just a little bit of blood on his hand. It was all over. He screamed bloody murder. It was running with the thing. It's still in his head like this. And he was running. I remember just going like this.
That episode I recall being with grandma and grandpa took
cut
us.
it out.
Grandpa
Well, no,
was there.
he did not because he tried.
Oh, okay.
And what happened? We had driven the hour and a half. We went all the way up there. We weren't there very long when that occurred. We straight to fishing, and Jim's got this thing stuck in his head.
And we couldn't get it out.
And couldn't get it out. And Grandpa's like, we got to go back. We got to go to the hospital to get it out. And
Everybody hated
all
me for
loaded
it.
back up, drove all the freaking way back, went to the emergency room. Grandpa comes out and they had, he was worried about, he had got pliers and cut off most of them, but there's a hook that was kind of straight into the skull or whatever. He couldn't get it out. And I remember very distinctly when they got back in the car and Grandpa was all mad. And he's like, I said, did they have to do surgery? Like, no, damn guy just grabbed it, yanked it right out of his head. I could have done that. We'd still be fishing.
Right.
The thing of it is what I recall about that story that it was significant to Grandpa. Charlie probably was, if you remember, every time we went to the lake, there was a tackle box that was Grandpa's only, and it was supposed to be off limits.
Yeah, he was mad about that. lure.
Because the lure I sucked into the back of my head was hedge.
Yes.
And it was, as I recall, it was a vintage like head and frog with the
It was
dangles in it.
whatever it was,
A
he was
wooden
mad.
frog,
Oh, I had
and
some treble
and I
hooks
was
on it, like
"Ooh," and it
monsters.
sucked into my head, and then it got
That
destroyed
was
somewhat.
An antique lure worth a lot of
I
money.
know. But what I'm saying is, I think Grandpa was not just pissed because we had to go back home, but because I messed up his lure.
Oh, you
Stealing
messed
it out
up.
of his
You messed up the
box.
whole
That
weekend,
was all
man.
kind of
For
angry
everybody.
right there.
Probably his
You
favorite
used his lure, you
lure.
grabbed
Probably
his lure,
was.
you ruined her day. It's like
That-
that's a lot of anger.
That also was one of those memories of the lake that creeped me out the most. Was Grandpa. We were fishing for crappie or something. I don't remember what we're doing, but he was crawling around in the rowboat a little, and he put his knee down on a hook on a lure of trouble like that. And I remember him. Oh God damn it! And he's got this thing, and he took his pocket knife and cut his jeans open a little bit. And he's trying to figure out, and I distinctly see like this bit of flesh with the hook all the way clear through. And he's like, well, I don't want to ruin my hook and my lure. And he took the pocket knife and just cut the skin and let it go. So his hook and lure was
So he
still.
didn't ruin the hook.
No, he didn't. I'm like, well, why don't you cut the barb off and take it out? I don't want to ruin that. Just cut the skin with that pocket knife right off so we could get the hook out. I was kind of okay.
So Dad had some people, like, you guys went on a ride in the boat to take somebody out sightseeing or whatever around the lake, just go for a pleasure cruise. So Emily and Sarah and I are stuck in the cottage. And Sarah's like, come on, let's take the rowboat. We'll go zip sledding.
Yeah.
So we took
With the orange boat?
smaller
No,
boat.
with the little
No, they
aluminum
had.
fishing
Oh,
boat.
just okay, yeah.
We had the tiller boat.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
So we go out and I'm driving and I'm like, pull them around on the zip sled for a while. And we're out on the sandbar, right? So we're doing the back and forth with the zip sled. And then Sarah's like, listen, man, it's your turn. She says, I'll drive. You get on the zip sled. And I'm thinking, man, this sounds like a really bad idea.
I just can't envision a young Sarah saying, listen, man.
Regardless, she wanted to drive the boat
Artistic
so I could
license.
zip
Exactly
sled.
what I said. word
I'm
for
going,
word.
listen,
And I didn't think it was a super good idea, but somehow I went along with it and I got out and I'm on the zip sled. So Sarah's like, wah, and it wouldn't pull me up on a plane because it didn't have no balls. So she gets this wild hair and thinks it's the best thing in the world. She's going to turn around and go beside me and just haul butt past me and twang me on the plane. So she turns and she's like, whoa, and I'm like, no. And then she goes, boing, and when it twangs, the tiller goes like, swing.
There's so many sound effects. I don't know what's happening right
She
now.
swings the tiller because of the G-forces of me twanging the boat. She swings the thing clear to the side. And it goes whoop
Flip the boat.
out of the water. It goes sideways into the water and scoops the whole boat full of water. And the fuel tank sitting there floating and everything, the oars, whatever was in the boat, and they're swimming. And the engine's still running for a second. And the whole boat is full to the top of water. It's just sitting there on the sandbar, like floating with everything around us floating. And we were like, and I'm like, so I'm like swimming over there to try. And I'm telling Emily, I'm like, God, you remember me taking the motor
I had to
off
hold
the
the
boat?
motor up.
Yeah.
I
remember
took the
holding
motor
them.
off the boat.
Yeah.
And we were standing on the sand, and I'm
Holding the
Emily, you
motor
gotta
up.
hold this up out of the water so it doesn't
I held the
ruin.
motor up out of that water for
That-
like an hour.
And
That's
then
a heavy
Dad-
motor.
It
Yes.
was. And Dad comes pulling up. You guys come up in the boat. God damn it. And I'm like, and Sarah is just like, and he's like, he was so mad. Like, how are you going to get this thing? Like, we had to get out. Somebody got out. We were on the sandbar. We had to kind of tilt the boat and try to tip the water out and get it back. And then put the motor back on.
Somehow
and get
nobody
it back.
got hurt. That was
No,
Now,
it was a
speaking,
miracle.
Speaking of getting hurt, though, did anyone of the Sibs, anyone here get hurt at the lake?
Not,
Like other than the lure in your
Feeling?
head?
Not
or the
severely.
Yeah.
You get hurt?
I still have a scar from the backside fin of the
The
slalom.
ski cut into your leg.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I had two incidents there that were both semi-bad. I'm pretty sure I've confessed or told the story later in life to Dan Linda, but when I was 17 or 18, I had taken a few guys, probably Gary Bailey and a couple other boys. We're going to go skiing, and I did not realize Dad, why would he tell me these things? That the big white boat had been pulled out for service or something, wasn't there. we drove all the way up there, and I'm like, you're kidding me right now. We had the little orange boat and the rowboat for, grown guys to go skiing. I'm like, well, we made all this way. Let's try and ski with the orange boat, which had puny motor. It wasn't. So we took all the stuff. You couldn't slalom. It couldn't pull us up because it didn't have enough energy. And I think there were 3 or 4 guys, but we went illegal because we didn't have a flagger with too much weight in the boat. So one guy drive, the other 2 stand on the sandbar, and we'll take turns skiing on 2 skis, which was really lame because we're going like 12. So I'm skiing along on the 2 skis, going like 12. It's super boring. So I decided to showboat a little bit, and I put the knot to the rope in my teeth.
Oh.
And I'm skiing like this with the rope in my teeth, and the boat hit a wave and slacked the rope, and before I could spit it out, it bam and pulled the rope, and my bottom front 4 teeth were yanked halfway out of my face. And I hit the water all stunned from the rope yanking my head halfway off. And I'm coming to kind of like getting my bearings, and there's just blood pouring out from my face. My teeth are like piano keys. I'm like, oh shit, I just ripped my teeth. And I just shoved them all back in the sockets and put them down into position. And they bring the boat back, and they're like, dude, blood pouring out. And I got some Kleenex out the boat and put the lake water and just made a packing. And I said, well, I'm not eating soft food for a few days. I ain't telling anybody because I can't go to the dentist because he's my uncle. Tell the parents. So I never went to see George or anything. I just waited till they got better. And they're still there. I began my dental career reimplanting 4 teeth on myself.
And they re-solidified and you were good
You're
to go.
lucky
Yeah.
it didn't kill them in the whole.
I know.
term.
None of them died.
Injury.
Teeth.
No, the injury at the lake.
Eric
And
kept
my-
re-injuring
my-
his face and
and-
not.
Yeah. Well,
But
no,
not at the lake.
it
That's
was
a
a very
different
mild,
story.
that
different.
was-
What happened?
mild injury at the lake, but it was funny.
What?
Who's?
We were at mine. We were out skiing, and I was slaloming, and I fell slaloming, and the way you land, and it gave me an enema. And so I'm landing in the water, and I'm screaming. I'm like, ow! And Dad comes around, and he's yelling, Jim, help her! And you're
That's
like,
why we rolled up on her and she's
What
screaming
happened?
bloody murder.
What
We're like
happened?
her legs off or
Water
something. Like,
water
we
in
water
the-
shoved up my ass.
Big deal.
We
That
thought she
happens
was
to
gonna
everybody.
die.
No, I don't ever remember
And so
skiing and
Jim-
that happening.
Yeah, Jim yells,
Yeah.
what's wrong? I'm like, I heard water shoved up my butt. And Jim looks at Dad. I can't help her, Dad.
Well, you did it. But, I mean, it's like we pulled the boat around to get her,
Everybody
and
has
she's
that.
screaming like she's dead. Like, I mean, there's like a leg off.
Yeah. It's like,
And we
what's the
pull up,
story?
we're like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? And I'm about to dive in. And she's like, water went up my butt. We're like, that happens all the time.
Get over.
I skied a bit when I was younger, but it was also fun to go up there in the winter when the channel we lived on was frozen over. We would ice skate, and I don't know if I had a favorite thing to do other than just take the kids up and help them have a good time.
The other injury that I suffered there was due to the extended runner of an ice skate.
Me too.
When I fell and it went up my butt.
Oh,
Why is that a common theme?
It's not. It happened to me
I
too.
know.
Ice skating when we were out and they cleared
Yeah.
the
But don't
channel.
you think the ice skate runner up your butt is worse than water?
Yeah, that was. It's still to this day. I've told
Why
people.
weren't you wearing more pants? It was winter.
Okay.
Oh,
Sarah,
That
we're
doesn't
females.
make any difference.
Have you ever had your ice skate up your butt?
I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
No.
That's a weird answer. Maybe.
Why
You
are-
don't fall and have an ice skate up your butt, dude.
No butt cheek.
Why are we
I don't even know why we're on the ice skate in the butt.
Yeah.
Because you recorded it.
Yeah.
There's actually the
Yes.
movie of me rolling around crying and you're laughing.
Oh, I
taking
do
a
remember
movie
you
of it.
crying.
You go to stop and you use the front of your skate as a stopping point, but if you fall backwards and your skate's like that, you go.
It was bad.
Yeah.
We can
But
see
why
how
didn't that
it
happen to any of the girls?
Maybe the skate.
I only remember it happened one time.
I think
one
you
time.
guys had better skates that
It's possible.
Yeah, we had old
you had like
skates
skates
from the
skates
50s.
and we had old.
They had.
We were probably using the old hockey skates that
Yeah.
Dad grew up with.
Yeah.
They were not. And I remember getting your
hand-me-downs.
hands rolled
They were
over on
hand-me-downs.
them.
In that
was not
same
nice.
video, Linda's over there going to the edge of where the ice quit and it was open water, stomping her way to the edge to see where it felt, where she would
Good
break
plan,
through
Mom.
the ice.
Good plan.
Which she found it.
Find a place
Yep,
not
she
to
found
go.
it.
Do you remember the flood we had? We were sitting on couches like this on the and catching giant crappie in the,
The water,
yard. In
yeah,
the yard.
the water
It was
was
just we
clear
went
up
up
at the
there and it was
porch.
just a total
Yeah, when it
flood.
would
It was
flood.
raining
Yeah.
and it came all the way up to the
porch.
that's the only time I ever seen it like that. But we were just sitting there fishing with the storm going on and catching giant crappie that were eating worms out of the yard.
For some reason, that's like my typical dream about the lake cottages when it flooded.
Yeah,
I
I will
dream
not
about the
forget that
cottage.
because
It's
it came all the
frequently
way
flooded.
up to the
Even though that
cottage.
only happened like once or twice the whole time. That's like the one I remember.
Really was probably I can't speak for everyone, but for myself, that having that lake house and those weekends, that there probably was the best overall kind of memories.
That's why I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
and stuff, is
That
because
was my favorite, absolutely.
I
of
still-
childhood, too.
I still to this day, from when my kids were little, we had the lake house here. To be near water and near the lake is just calming and pleasant and just as a really
Remember
great
our
place.
silly little sailboat?
It's like the ultimate summer camp.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
It's
Didn't
the
you guys
best thing ever.
have like a
The
little
one train.
We had a
Sunfish.
jet ski.
Sunfish.
We had a sunfish,
Yeah,
little
sun-
like personal sailboat. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
it was a 2-person sailboat. We'd go out on the lake and see how far we can take it to the side without going over. And then I
too far,
remember,
too far.
Yeah, going across. Like we're skimming across the lake, and it was windy, and there other boats just like it going over. I'm like, yeah, we're still up.
Right. Does anybody remember like when we would have storms bad enough that there would be like occasional water funnels out on the lake and everything? It was so
Brian
weird.
had dreams of
Okay,
that
Brian,
stuff.
remember when we were in a thunderstorm so bad that me and you went bass
Oh
fishing
yes,
before the storm
we couldn't
hit?
outrun it.
We went towards the channel. What was the little lake off of
Grassy Creek.
Grassy, no, Little Tippy.
Little Tippy.
Little Tippy. I couldn't remember which direction it was, but we were like down around the other side of the lake, the long
side,
side of the
yeah.
lake.
Yeah, that was
Brian
Little
and I
Tippy
were
side.
there when it started raining, and we're like, "Oh shit, we better get back." So we were in the little metal.
Metal and the lightning
We're
bolts.
in the metal
Running.
rowboat, and so it was like we got to get back, and we're buzzing back, and next thing you know, and it's a big lake. The whole lake was just pouring down rain, and you could see lightning hitting everywhere
Everywhere
around the whole
around
perimeter of
us.
the lake, and we're out there in this aluminum boat in the middle of the lake, being this absolute high point, and I was letting Brian drive me back there.
Well, we were hugging the deep end of the lake
We
too,
were-
all the cliff part
Yeah.
to
We
try
were
to
trying
going
to-
around
we were
with the
the
Don't
light.
be the
We were
tallest
trying
thing out
to,
there.
but I remembered when we were getting close to the country club area, we did head out more into the big lake to get
so we
to the
could come
point
back.
faster.
Yeah.
So we were pretty much out in the middle of the lake, is what it felt like. And I remember Brian, because I was the one that talked him into going out into the lake so we could get there faster. And he's like, "If I find you in hell, I'm gonna kill you."
You know, I'll say for me, I always
And I'm just sitting there thinking,
I always had a lot of
how is he
respect
gonna
for
kill me
Brian's
if I'm
bass
already dead?
prowess.
Oh,
Yeah, very awesome.
obviously we survived it, but that was pretty dang scary.
I could definitely remember that because I and to this day I don't ever remember lightning ever wanting to hit water like that. But it was just one right after another.
Right.
We were the only people out there.
Yeah, it was like,
The only ones coming up to be out
we're in the
Yeah.
middle of potential hell, and that's
They
how I
got
kept
caught
thinking.
on
It's
the-
like,
Little one.
Well, and the thing about that is the hills. Sometimes them storms would just boom come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't know.
that was pretty much the same way because I'm pretty sure it was just partly cloudy when we started.
I think that's probably one of the biggest differences from over the years with our childhood. There was no computer, there was no internet, there was no
That's
cell
all we
phone.
did was just
There was minimal knowledge of what the weather was going to do. You know, you watch the news the night before, it has some kind of guesses, but the weather wasn't that sophisticated. You could be gone and not coming home late in the evening, and Dad would be. I recall getting home late in the evening as in my late teens, and he was sitting there in the dark waiting on me, and like, oh, sorry, I'm so late. You know, we didn't have cell phones, we couldn't keep track of where you were, check in or anything. And he said, well, just sitting here wondering whether you were dead in a ditch or not. And make you feel bad out of guilt, you know. Like, oh,
Dad would say the same thing to me, but he would say, someday you'll have children too.
yeah.
When he was
Right.
like up at 2 a.m, whatever.
Yeah.
Or like before he would hit us with the breadboard, that saying, "This hurts me more than it does you," and we're like,
Not really.
I don't think so.
At the same time, though, we did come up in a time where all of that stuff has become invented, and I think it's a really interesting difference in generations for us all. Somehow we're all still alive, so
Yep.
no lightning killed you guys on the lake, and my wrecking cars, no one died. Everything turned out.
I think my
Emily's
close-
wrecked more than any of us, probably.
Gold star.
we all came close to dying in cars, that's for sure.
I remember going up on a weekend and your dad wasn't with us. And it turned out to be a very bad weekend. Got up there, got everything unloaded. We went to get gas in the boat, got the gas, came back part of the way. Do you remember you guys had to get out
I
and were
remember.
walking in that squishy
Squishy
gunk
muck.
in the
You
channel,
lost a boat.
trying to find the propeller?
I remember
the
that.
propeller came off the boat.
And then we were like grabbing the throw cushions and whatever life jackets and trying to tow the boat
Well,
through the
and-
muck and the weeds.
Well, you guys
back
had to
in.
get back in and push the
But
boat.
we used to push it all the way with no motor.
But
no
see, you
propeller.
remember when you
we were
leave the,
pretending to be motors and
Yeah.
kicking our
when you
feet.
leave Patona Bay, you know, after getting gas, you can't just go over there. That was
Yeah, it's
Brian's
real,
bass
yeah, it's
fishing.
real shallow.
Super shallow and mucky and muddy there, so we had to go out a ways. To
Yeah, that
You
was the
go
key.
through
You
the-
had to
we,
know
we
the
cut
route
in too
to
short.
get out.
'Cause You cut
You
it
could
too
get
short,
stuck in the
lost
mud
the
there
route.
too.
Yeah.
No
there
problem.
was plenty of lost propeller stories, that's for sure. That part sucked.
There
I
were.
think-
But I love
I
the deck
thought I
boat.
was following
deck
the
boat
trail
was
that
the
you guys
best
had.
boat.
It
Yeah.
was at least you had us to get us back. Otherwise, you'd have been just sitting out there waiting for somebody to come get you.
No, yeah, I
Yeah,
would've
that
waved
white
him
that
down.
white deck boat was the best one.
The deck boat was hilarious because you could slam on the brakes on the thing and it nosedive. It's in the way of over the top.
Oh,
You
yeah.
shower everybody in the boat.
That was a good thing to do to people.
It was not the best boat. It's just the best one we had.
That's what.
We skated and water skied and so forth. It was a good time up there.
I recall also that I don't know how many people back in the day maybe had this experience, but that they would get in the back of the pickup, especially when it was new, with shiny paint. There were no bed line or anything like that. And he'd hit the gas and we'd all tumble and slam into the tailgate and then hit the brakes and we'd all tumble and sling and like slipping and sliding.
Was it a
back.
brown truck?
Yes.
Yes, I
And-
remember it.
And he
That's all
just,
we had.
and he boom, we'd all tumble and bash around and just
Because
fling
when you said shiny, I remember a shiny brown truck
yeah,
doing that.
and then
yeah.
and the paint, you couldn't catch a grip on anything. It's bam, it hit the back of the cab and just,
How did
What
we-
I always
how did
remember
we
the
survive
most
our
is Dad would when he was chewing.
yeah,
Oh,
spit
yeah.
the
Oh, it's
chew
like,
out.
hey,
Because you'd be like
hey,
hanging
Dave.
out the
And
side
you're
of
like,
the bed like a
"What?"
dog, and he'd be all, and he'd be like, gross.
Yeah, he did
Look-
that.
Look at
Yeah.
my best truck story ever, Sarah Niblin. Getting up in
Are
the
we talking
morning.
about vomit?
Oh yeah. Get up in the morning and we're going to the babysitters and I think we were already late. And Sarah wasn't feeling good.
It was on your lap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get into the truck. Dad's got to go to work and everything. We pile into the truck, a bench seat all the way across. So we got Dad sitting in the driver's seat. And I think Sarah was on the outside on the door. Emily was in the middle, I think.
Yeah, I was on your lap.
Well, I'm saying,
Yeah.
I think you were both sides of me and we were smashed
I
all
was
together.
in the middle. You were against the door. She was on your lap.
Sarah was
Yeah.
on your
I was
lap.
on
Well,
your
we're-
lap.
so anyway, we're like take off out the house, and we're heading down towards 38th Street. I mean, we probably only made it up to like 30 mile an hour, and Sarah's over there. and I'm like, no, dude. I'm like, no, don't. She, and I'm like, no. And then Emily looks at me, and I don't know how you always had this ability to
I can
vomit on
vomit.
command.
10 feet across the room and hit a point On
she's
command.
looking over at me, smiling. I'm like, oh, hell no. And she goes, "Whoa!" and heaves this load of vomit on my lap. And then Sarah's like already on the edge, right? So Sarah's like, oh! And then she throws up on my lap. And then I'm smelling it. And I'm like, oh! And Dad's over here like, Jesus Christ! And he slams on the brakes and takes us back to the house.
You thought my life was easy.
It was 3 loads on my lap. And I'm like, what the hell?
I had one down my back and one.
Linda, just get up in the morning and go to work. I
Yeah,
had to get all you
definitely.
kids ready for school and clean up barf. No, they're all good kids, and they've grown up like typical siblings and have their battles with each other and their dislikes about what each other might be doing. But here we are, all together.
We did
So-
have
On command.
occasional
Tortures.
violence and torture.
Which one of us, how many of us have experienced being the victim of a spit treatment?
Well,
Oh,
the spit
yeah.
treatments happened a lot.
Who wasn't?
The
Well,
hold
that's what I'm
somebody
saying. Who
down
was
and
not a
grab a
victim?
spit and suck it
Yeah.
back up.
Oh,
David started it.
I probably was a victim.
You invented it.
I did, but I was also probably laughing at some point. Like when Brian cut me up with the rock.
No.
I would
Yeah.
be instigating a problem, but then receive some sort of a.
Karma.
Actually, this is something that happened separate from back in Indiana with Jim and Eric and I, when I was frequently beating up Jim for not getting his chores done or whatever. I was put in a bad position. We lived in Oregon of being sort of like the parent or whatever. And I was feeling badly about it. And I was in high school. Eric was in middle school and Jim was in grade school. We all got home at different times, different buses, whatnot.
This was in Sandy.
Sandy, yeah. And I got home first, and I was feeling quite guilty about being mean to Jim. And so when he got home, I had conceived this idea that I would make it up to him by letting him beat me up for 1 minute on the second hand on the big clock in the living room without retribution. And
It's the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
oh, it gets way worse. So
You are correct.
now to put it into perspective, he was not this big. He was a little kid. He was really small, and he couldn't hurt me if he tried, if I was defending myself. But I stand in the living room. He comes home, throws it back down. I said, Jim, I explained to him what's happening. Jim, I feel bad. I'm going to let you have 1 minute to beat on me without any retribution or whatever. I won't get you back. He's like got his toe in the thing. He's like, no, you're kidding. You're gonna say that, but you'll beat me. I said, no, I won't. I promise. And so I got on my knees on the floor on the carpet, and I put my hand. This was my fatal mistake,
Put
nearly
your
fatal.
hands behind you.
I put my hands in my pockets, in my back
In his
pockets
back
of my
pockets.
pants. And I said, when the second hand hits the 12, you got 1 minute. This is a one-time only offer. And it starts going by. He's like, no. And I said, you're wasting your time. It's past the 12. You got 50 seconds. Eric is not there at this time. It's just me and Jim in the living room. And Jim loses his mind. He comes running at me like I'm like someone's holding the ball for a kickoff. And he goes, boom, and kicks me in the stomach like you could not believe with full force. And I fell over, knocked the wind out of me, and I fell over and I bent up like fetal position, but my hands were stuck in my pockets because I was
Did you
bent.
go for the face after that?
Yeah, he started
Yes.
kicking me in the head and kicking me, and I'm seeing stars, and I'm like, bam, bam, and he's like, you son of a bitch. Lost his mind. He's like
It's like
freaking out,
Ralphie.
kicking me into to the point of almost unconscious. I think I'm gonna die.
And what was worse,
So
the
then
clock.
I'm like, all I got left is the hope that he'll realize he's past the 12 on the clock and quit killing me. I can't defend myself as my arms are stuck in my pocket, like, it's kicking me to death. And the clock goes past the 12, and he just still like beating the crap out of me. I'm like, oh my God, I am actually gonna die from my little brother killing me, kicking me in the head. And then about the only thing that saves me about that time, Eric got home, comes through the door, sees this scene of me getting just annihilated.
I
Like,
wondered, how's Jim doing this?
so Jim doesn't, you know, all he sees is Jim's going back shit crazy and kicking my head. And Eric comes running over. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he grabs Jim off of me and throws him on the couch, started beating the crap out of Jim.
So Jim got it in the end anyway.
And he's like, "He said I can, he said I can. It was a freebie, it was a freebie." And Eric's like, wailing on Jim. And I'm like, "I said it was okay." I couldn't.
It was good. It was a great story.
It was rough, man. It was.
We
not-
had a rough life.
It wasn't the
was
best
tough.
times, but
We
that.
made do with what we had. That was
Yeah,
cool.
but that did actually happen.
Well, I remember Dad teaching me how to box.
Christmas we got boxing good.
That's right. That's right.
You
So-
were like a windmill of terror. She just had the gloves on. She's just coming at you like this.
It was on your side of the car.
Yeah, there's
If
a
it
graveyard
was
on my
your
side. I
of the
lose
car.
all my cows. Our silly games.
Yeah. I used to play the car game with Dad. Would teach me about cars all the time like that. And I got better than he did eventually. It's like, try to guess what
Oh,
kind of
it's
car,
coming.
year, make, and model is this car that's coming at us.
Is that how that started? Wow.
Yeah. And I got good even in the night with the tail lights and everything.
You remember
He
in
taught us a
Sandy
lot
when
about
we
that.
had
Wow.
that window in the front of the house that was up in the air?
Yeah.
And we'd sit up in there and watch the cars going by on the highway. And you'd have your back against one side and I had my back against the other side. And whatever's coming this way was mine, whatever's going this way was yours. You'd be like, "Next one's mine. Ooh, you got a Corvette. Ooh, you got a We'd like spend hours just sitting there saying, "This is your car, this is my car." And like, oh.
We didn't have video games or
That was
Other
when we
than
first
Atari.
got video games.
even Atari.
Eventually
got
we
an
got
Atari.
the Atari.
When we lived there, we had a party line on our phone. It was entertainment to listen to the neighbors' conversation.
Random
Yeah,
person,
you did
yeah.
that
And the
when we
thing,
first
like
got on
you
there.
made me think of, oh, you got a Corvette or whatever. Emily and I would stand out at the end of the driveway and throw rocks at the phone pole. And we'd make a bet, I'm going to have this or whatever about our life when we grow
Right.
up, and you'd throw a rock at the phone pole. If you hit it, then it came true. And
That's
if you
true.
Missed, then it didn't.
This is what I want,
so
and then you
glad
throw the
video
rock,
games
come
and if you
along.
get it, it's gonna come true.
Yeah,
That's a
the
good
dumbest
game.
way to spend time.
we'd spend hours throwing rocks at the phone pole.
Jesus,
Did
we're
any of
retarded.
it come true?
I don't.
Yeah,
know.
we found good things to do with all our video games. Or sometimes it
Any of
didn't.
it?
I don't remember any of them.
I
It's never
remember
turned into a Gus model. I don't know.
I got in trouble with Brian one time. I can't remember what he did to me or why, but I remember I woke up one morning and there was like some Easter grass and some money, I think,
Yeah.
under my hand. Like I'm laying in bed, like I wake up and there's like Easter grass and money. And then Brian's like, "You came in my room and stole my shit." And I'm like, "What?" Like, blaming me for something.
There's the evidence.
The evidence is right under your hand.
Framed
But Brian used to like beat on me, and I remember that like he'd start beating on me, and David come in and be like, "Knock that shit off." He'd be like, "I'll beat up somebody your own size or whatever," and he'd start thumping on Brian. Then I go up to David like, "Thanks, man." Be like, "Shut up."
This also was a time when we so different sleeping arrangements where there were bunk beds or who had to share rooms and whatnot. And there was a really, really sad time of childhood where Jim and I were not only in the same room, we had the same bed. That was like, I'm not sleeping in a damn bed with Jim. But that's what we had. So I contrived an arrangement where I would have the sheet in a way where I would say, "Okay, this is the line. You got to sleep here. Don't you come across this line, I'm gonna thump you in the head or whatever."
I thought
But-
you used a piece of masking tape or something, like
No.
taped off the section of the bed.
No, Dad did
Well-
that to our room upstairs.
No, we did that.
No, I mean, like,
Well,
one
no,
of the masking.
I
did
didn't
that.
use tape. I simply said, "Here's where it went," and the reason was, I had Jim was a good sleeper. He would fall asleep real easy, and I stay up all night anyway. So I'm like, I contrived this mechanism to where I would have him on the edge of the bed, and I had the blanket or the sheet or whatever it was in a way where once he was sleeping real well, I'd bring the sheet up like a hammock and roll him over the edge and slowly roll him down to the floor asleep and throw a pillow down there and roll him off the bed and onto the thing and throw a blanket on him, and he'd sleep on the floor every night. And because I put him there once he fell asleep, and he would wake up and I'm on the floor again. I'm like, dude, I don't know what's your problem. You fall out of bed every night. I hear you thump down there and you still are asleep, so I just leave you. Throw a blanket on you, you're fine. But I would put him there every night, just roll him off.
Well, I remember my memory of the bunk bed scenario was you were always on top, I was on the bottom. And I remember one time you came running in there and you jumped up on it because he wouldn't climb the ladder. He just threw himself up there. And he like threw himself up there and the whole thing come down like boom.
There's a reason I wasn't going to be underneath. That shit could be crushed.
Terrible.
My little brother slept on the top bunk, and I took the ladder one night and put it up there. And he'd come and grab the post and swing up there. He got up on and landed on that ladder.
Ow!
You were cruel. Of course, you came from the days like what was your dad, when you'd stand around in a circle of kids and somebody would take a bow and arrow and shoot it up in the air and wait to see who it landed.
It was
closest
just kids.
to. I think it was
shooting an arrow up and run around and
It
stop.
was one of the
I
stories.
never did that.
No, it was one of the stories that Grandpa Charlie told that they did, because you were doing our crazy, dangerous bottle rocket wars and stuff. And he's like, "Well, when we were kids, we'd stand around and shoot this arrow up into the air and see who it came closest to."
Oh, one of the guys had a sailor
Had one of the
cap.
little sailor caps that had the little rim around the head, and he's like, and the arrow was like, thunk, right in next to his face, and through. Then he's like, "I win."
Yeah, let's go again. Well,
Okay.
I don't think we
Yeah,
did
you win.
anything super terribly dangerous. Maybe the
Pipe bomb.
pipe bombs were sketchy.
The pipe
bombs.
It was,
I only remember one.
I made
Well, we've made a
lot.
few before that one, but
the worst.
Uncle John gave us the lighter for the last one.
The worst.
That was
one-
the last one. That's the only one I saw.
Oh, the one that behind Grandpa's where it blew the tire up in
Blew
the
the
air.
tire.
Thank God for the
That
tire.
was like-
There
and
were
Gary
pieces
Bailey
of
was
metal
there.
buried in the
Yeah,
tire.
it went about 40, 50 feet in the air.
It-
That tire.
There was a mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
And it did the whole mushroom cloud like a nuclear bomb.
The police came around.
Oh,
Grandpa came out real mad. The police came around. Uncle John watched. He had us a lighter. He was out there
I
watching.
don't think he watched. I think he gave you the lighter and said I would.
He watched.
He watched. He's
But-
like, "I don't condone this behavior,
But here
here's
you
the
go."
lighter."
I never gave you this, but
He just
Yeah.
sitting
It was
back
Gary.
there. He's sitting back there with his pipe,
Smoking a pipe.
Smoking
Yeah.
a
this
pipe.
one-
And he's
Gary
just,
Bailey.
he's just watching the whole thing, laughing his
Yeah,
ass
because
off.
the fuse didn't go, and we had put paper under it. And
You
Gary
blew
was
the
out
light.
there trying to light it with a piece of newspaper.
that
And
didn't
when
work
that
either.
thing went off, I was like, "Oh my god, that
Well,
was."
the thing was, is that Gary went. The paper wasn't working either, so Gary's like, "Screw it." He ran after it, lit the
Well,
fuse.
he finally. got
David's
it
like,
lit,
"Man!" He's
but-
sprinting at top speed, dove in the back of the truck.
Well, that was
We were
that
hiding
was
behind-
no, that wasn't the truck. That was
We were
in the
hiding
middle of
behind an
that
old
was in the
dead
middle
car.
of while I was working on my Chrysler. So
Yeah.
I had the whole front end of the Chrysler sitting there
We
off.
were
so
hiding behind
we
it.
ran behind the basically the fenders and the grill were all in piece.
The-
so
the
we
one
went
that-
down there behind the
The one
Chrysler.
that was the worst, I made baby ones, and I took a little one to Evan Morgan's house, and I thought everyone burns their trash there, right? You have the steel burn barrels. I'm like, we'll put it in this burn barrel out behind your house, because he lived in a neighborhood. It's like you can't just blow shit up in town. When we're out in the country, it's one thing. I'm going to put this in the burn barrel first, so it's safe, and so the shrapnel doesn't hit houses and stuff. And we lit it, and it ba-boom, it blew the center out of the barrel, and all of the crap, the old can lids and every junk in this old burn barrel was sprayed all over Morgan's yard.
You idiot.
And the burn barrel was in half. And so they were not home or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, we had to go get a burn barrel, a new one, and pretend like this never happened, and pick up 8 million pieces of shit out of the yard and put it all back before they
Now
got
you
home.
make a new barrel look old
I'm glad I wasn't there.
We told them,
because it burns the paint off.
I know, we didn't. We just put a new barrel and said, sorry, yeah, the old barrel was no good, so we got you a new one. We didn't tell them we blew it to smithereens with a
What a
pipe.
good bunch of boys. They got us a new burner.
I am amazed
Yeah.
that when none of us lost fingers and toes.
Or lives.
Or lives. Yeah.
There were so many chances, though.
Remember the infamous sledding incident with Eric's face?
Yeah.
Slide down a hill.
Hit a tree.
There were
Hit a
some
tree.
good sled runs out in the horse trails.
I remember Brian, we
Right.
played the golden rod, throw the golden rods.
Oh,
as a spear.
Yeah.
I can't remember who hit you, but in that you got
Like a chunk of my eyeball.
I took a
think it
chunk
was
of your
Herrera,
eyeball
you
out.
mentioned
The
Joe
white
Herrera
part.
that
Yeah.
was in there.
And
One
it
of-
looked
one of
like
the
a
kids
boiled
said
egg, piece of boiled egg.
So I just took a chunk out of
It
it.
did. A little tiny triangle.
Well, I had to quit, and I was saying, "Hey, I gotta go," because you stopped to get me. And when I was standing there defenseless, I was clear up in the road. One of them came up. I didn't even see it. It was like,
And they were hollow. They just chunked a perfect little piece of his eyeball out and was laying on his face. Like, whoa.
Jeez,
See,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
that was,
I didn't think it was gross.
I
thought
still
it was
remember
kinda
it.
cool. I was like, I always wondered what the white stuff would do. Was it like a boiled egg or not? And it was. Like, thanks, Brian. That was really interesting.
yeah.
And then I remember I was just about to come out the dining room door, and the garage door was open at the time. And Dave was like, "Come out and throw rocks. We're gonna play. I'm Clint Eastwood." We had a game where you would stand 20 feet away, and we'd have these limestone rocks. I'm Clint Eastwood, and he'd say, "Go," and then we'd throw rocks at each other like guns. So Dave's
It's
like,
like a draw.
he's like, "Get out here," and he's like, he threw a rock up at the door, dunk, and it's like I opened the door at the wrong time. He'd thrown another rock out there, and it boom hit me right in the eye. And I literally saw spots. I was like, wow, that's interesting. You know, I always hear it in the movies, but when you get hit in the eye, you literally see spots. I was blind for like a day and a half in that
I
eye.
remember shooting you with a paintball gun.
And
Oh, paintball guns was fun. Dad was a quick draw master. Man.
Yeah, shot
No,
you
we were
right in the
we
groin.
ran out of
Yeah.
power in our gun, so we thought, well, we'll finish up. We'll have duels.
Yeah.
So Eric shot at me and missed, and I had one shot left, and Eric stood there like Superman.
Them's was the rules.
I aimed at his
One
chest,
person shoots
But
the
you
other.
shot
That's a
him
free
right
shot.
in the crotch.
but the gun was low on power, so the bullet kind of.
No.
Dad.
It didn't feel low on power. I guarantee
He-
I wasn't on my knees for no.
We're wearing blue.
That's just
Oh, man.
harsh.
We're wearing like blue overalls that they
That's
gave
harsh.
us for clothing protection, and then Eric's standing over there all stoic, and suddenly the orange of the paintball thing, right? And he just like crumples to his knees, falls on the ground, and the
There
guy.
were two guys
Involuntary
running the
working there.
show. They fell on
I
the
never
ground
saw him
laughing.
laugh so hard
They
in my
were
life.
laughing their asses off.
The
I
guys
wasn't-
that worked at the
I
paintball
wasn't
place.
Yeah.
You remember the time when
That
I
was
think it
painful.
was the time when Bottle Rocket Wars was first invented.
Yeah.
And Melvin Barry came over. And we standing, you know, the little trees by the side door, you know, drawbridge door.
Yeah.
Those two little smaller trees. He was up there on the hill. It seemed like it was Brian that was shooting the thing. He was down by the sandbox. And you had the tube, and we were like, we're doing these Bottle Rocket War things. That's what we're going to do. And Mel was like, you can't hit anybody with that shit. And Brian's like, load me up. And somebody loaded me, and he's like, and Mel was standing there just like Melvin does. And this thing comes bullet right towards his gut. And he puts his hand like this.
It's
And it
called traps.
And it traps his finger. It goes, boom! And he's all, you're like, it was pretty good accurate.
Well, because the morning glory or whatever the thing that's to shoot the things out, then you could take the bottle rocket and it would make the
Very
perfect
good aim.
aim. Yeah, just like the barrel.
It was just hilarious because it was like, you can't even. We had Bottle Rocket Wars with cousins and stuff over at Grandma Jenny's house.
No, in Apple Wars with all the cousins, there'd be like 30 people. We'd jump on roofs with apples and.
Usually, inevitably ended when cousin Scott would run off crying.
Huh?
Shot you in the side of the head.
I have tinnitus in my right ear like crazy, and I always wondered where it came
There
from.
you go.
There you go.
I never remembered where it came from because it was
Seems
a
like it was your
childhood
left
injury.
ear I shot at, but
That reminds me, because of the Apple War thing, we had that, and combined with the fireworks, I recall getting we had firecrackers all the time. We'd wrap them in plastic tape so the water wouldn't get in and get rotten tomatoes out of the garden and stick the firecracker in it. We had little shelters and such. I remember it was Mark and I think Tony or Mark and Scott or somebody were hiding in this little shelter and rolled one of those rotten ass tomatoes with a firecracker in it, and boom, and they come out all covered in rotten tomato shreds. It was so great.
We didn't have video games. Had to
No,
make our own.
we had to make it up.
We did have some BB gun wars.
My parents lived, I bought the land from my grandparents, and my parents lived 2 miles down the road. Where I grew up was 2 miles further down toward town. So they had their 5-acre property as along the side of the Mississinawa River there. So me and my brothers, and I have one sister, grew up playing in that woods and playing along the river. And my mom's parents lived 2 miles further out, so they sold me 5 acres off the end of their property. And it's been good.
That was a great childhood. It's like, how many people can say they were literally over the river and through the woods to Grandma's house? We'd go kind of.
I know. I love going to
We
Grandma
did.
Bo's.
Grandma Bogue, I loved her. She was so awesome to be able to go over there and have one oatmeal cookie.
What?
I think it was like the thing is you don't really appreciate what you had at the time. You don't really appreciate it at the time because it's the way it is. It's life, you know. And whether we're eating ham and beans for a week to save money for groceries for next week so we can eat normal, like we have all stories like that. But and we didn't have much. We didn't have a lot of stuff that other kids had. We didn't dress fancy. We didn't have nice shoes and all that all the time. But it seemed like what it was good. It was decent enough for us. And then, but as adults, now you look back at it and they're like, I think they put this family together, and as much of a craziness as it was, it worked. And we had a decent childhood for it.
I very much appreciate how much I was taught. And I probably asked questions, but I was taught lots of things that my children don't know because they never asked and they're stupid. False to you.
I was thinking of the bits of advice that I was given that you never think that we're actually listening to, but I do remember and I did pick up, and there's those little tidbits of wisdom, and some of them I passed on to my own kids and things that have meant a lot that it's like you don't know that they meant anything and that I've kept, and they are in there, but they're in there.
What did everybody look at me?
Your
No, I didn't hear
It's
some
like-
of these people.
No,
It's like
your
I'm
turn.
just glad that we were able to have a family and stuff, and just have all the. And I always refer to you as my brothers and sisters, and period. That's just what I say. And then my parents, and then I'll say that a lot too. So I appreciated that part. It's good to look back and stuff, and it's like I said, I just remember the good memories and stuff, and there are all these silly other memories too. It was just when you look at it, a lot of people don't have, families or get that kind of experience and stuff.
I would say for my parents that I think that the two things that I appreciate the most, one, and I will say both of them come weirdly with a kind of a price tag that is difficult in some respects. But one thing I would say from my dad, number one, I got a really strong work ethic. Like you work first, play second. And I maybe think that the balance of that isn't exactly ideal, and maybe could have played more, but I also feel not sad, and I've achieved a lot because I learned to work. I was given the tools and the drive to do it, and taught how to do so many things. I can pretty much fix or handle anything because I was raised to do that. And then I would say for number one from Linda is keeping us clothed and fed. Like, that's who took care of it. Like, if we didn't have Linda, we would not have pants, most likely. So I think keeping us clothed and fed was a job that she handled 100% of the time, and I really appreciated not being naked.
We did too.
And we all appreciate that.
Yeah. With my grandparents, but go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely remember being fed and clothed well by Linda, and I definitely, carried the recipes along. My favorite cookies, are Amish cookies and snickerdoodles and bread pudding. I make bread pudding like Linda did, and yeah, my nickname was Pies. I love pies, and she supplied all of my favorite dessert items all the time.
I
One way or
remember you
another.
telling me once that after you'd been out on your own for years, that you missed Linda's casseroles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For sure.
all the good food she brought us up with. It's like, it may sound like we had pork and beans all the time, but we didn't. And she made sure that no matter what level of income we happened to be at the time, that we had some really good food to follow it up with, or for the dinner itself. And I'm totally appreciative of everything she had to put up with, which was a shitload. We got a lot of kids here, and she put up with a lot. And I remember me and Dad sitting downstairs laughing at a Monty Python show, and Linda has to yell at us to be quiet.
She had to be
she's
up at
trying to
5.
sleep, and we're like, that makes sense. Good night. So we turn the TV off and appreciate her for it. And I remember my favorite little shoes that Linda bought me, my little red Scats, and I was faster with those shoes. And my first leather jacket, Linda took me down to Wilson's Leather and got me a nice leather jacket in high school. All the best things that I had came from Linda. And then all the best, like morals and ethics came from, well, not just Linda, of course, too, but then Dad supplied, like Dave and I working out on the roof, and we're doing our thing, and Dad's like, you should be twice as far as this. And we're like, what do you want, quality or quantity? He's like, I want both. It's called efficiency. Get busy.
I don't remember that, but I do remember.
Well, you wouldn't remember that part because
Oh.
we're out building houses with him, but we learned a lot of work
I remember
ethics for
pitching many
sure.
basement walls.
Yeah, my dad was a builder, so I was raised in the building business and built my own house along with the help of him and some brothers. And I still live there. My new house is now 55 years old or so, whatever. I always intended to finish the basement into a family room and never got to that. Now it's so full of junk from the 50 years of living there that I can't finish it, but now it's just Linda and I, we don't need it. Well, Linda and I have been married 50 years now. Well, raising kids is always chaotic, and we had a good time, but putting families together, and yours, mine, and ours, is always difficult. And there are some childish jealousies you have to deal with, but everybody has their problems, and you just solve them as best you can. Love my family more than anything. What else is there? I mean, in your life, if you don't have family, all you're living for is yourself.